take a look?
In the summer of 2013, self-published author Garrett Buhl Robinson spent some time talking with me about his semi-autobiographical novel Zoe in New York City.
Check out my website. Does that have changes for you? Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Have a great day. Who's your phone?
I'd written Zoe quite a number of times in various versions under different titles, and I was focusing upon one particular year in my life in 1992 when I had in fact hitchhiked and rode freight trains around the country. It was my rite of passage, one of my rites of passage. I consider myself having numerous ones. But I've been wanting to write a love story for quite some time, and in 2009 the ideas just kind of fell into place. And I felt like the epistolary form was the absolutely most suitable form for a love story because it is the most direct means of expression, because it is of course a singular author and it has a singular audience in mind, who is the person of adoration. And in this story of course it is Zoe, but also too I thought of it as the audience, and I'd hoped that anybody could read the book and read it as if they were letters written to themselves. I tell people all the time that I'd like people to read the book as if they're reading letters written to the fictional character Zoe, or letters written to any member of the audience that's reading it at the time, or letters written to life itself. There wasn't any particular books or authors or styles that I had in mind when I was composing Zoe. There are quite a number of famous epistolary novels, and I'd read quite a number of them. But really what I was thinking of when I was composing the letters was, of course, my recollection of the experiences that I had in 1992 while I was traveling. And I was surprised, though, while I was writing the novel, how much of the original letters that I'd written were coming to mind. And I was remembering not actually the statements that I'd made, but quite a bit of the content and a lot of the ideas that I was expressing, and a lot of the emotions that I was expressing at the time, even though I hadn't seen those letters for over 15 years. But I was writing prolifically while I was traveling in 1992. And while I was writing those letters, I was drawing from those experiences. In the novel, I do mention quite a number of authors. William Blake, for one, that was a big and poetic influence for me, especially when I was in my teenage years in high school. And Joseph Campbell as well, Dostoevsky. I discovered Sinclair Lewis while I was traveling in 1992, and I mentioned him in my book. And in fact, I did, just as the book states. I found a copy of the book on the Pacific Crest Trail that somebody had left in a Ziploc bag to preserve it from dampness. And I'd found Aerosmith while I was hiking the Pacific Crest Trail. And just in my life in general, that book has had a profound influence. And I do mention it in Zoe as well. but as I was saying, really what I was modeling the book on was the original letters that I had written, and to be able to convey with the greatest fidelity as possible those experiences as I was recalling them from my past. The theme of Zoe is unquestionably freedom and the liberty one has to pursue their own interests. The complication in that, when it's expressed in the story, is that Weldon finds that in pursuit of his own freedom and cutting himself off from other people and relieving himself of responsibilities that he feels interferes with the pursuit of his own interests, he finds that instead of liberating himself, he actually renders himself completely helpless and absolutely ineffectual in life. And then through that, he has no means whatsoever to pursue his interests. So he discovers that actually to pursue one's interests, one actually needs relationships, one needs responsibilities, one needs means in the connection with other people as a means to be able to pursue their interests and develop them more fully, and then through that share that with other people. The creek is nice company. It reminds me of the creek near my parents' house. I would spend hours every day alongside that creek when I was younger. In some ways, that creek taught me a lot about narrative lines. I would learn every swirling eddy and the lay of the shoals and follow the arrangement of rocks and the flow of the current. Then after every storm, I would love to rush down to the banks to see how it had changed. In time, the muddy water would clear as the storm's swell receded, and slowly a new creek would appear. The shoals would have shifted, the rocks rearranged, the current changed. It constantly changed. I loved finding the animals too. My favorites were always the turtles. I loved them for their patience, their perseverance, their calm, curious stare. I love them for their composure. They have everything they need, even carrying their home on their backs. Then whenever they want to rest or sleep, they just draw back into their shells and are safe. What really seems magical, though, is after watching their cumbrous steps upon the ground, when they slip into the water, it is like they fly. Their burden is lifted from them, and they elegantly dance, sometimes with the tips of their toes barely touching the silt that they would stir with the river's bed, as if adding a flourish to their flight.